In the early 1980s, government regulations tightly restricted the runtime and amount of animation that could be used in toy commercials. And so in an effort to backdoor their way around those restrictions, Hasbro approached Marvel Comics with a proposal to fund a series of animated commercials for G.I. Joe the comic book. But for that comic to exist and do the job of exciting any potential readers into buying the toys, Marvel would have to mold an actual story for the relatively blank slate that was G.I. Joe. This left Marvel editor-in-chief Jim Shooter in a bind. Licensed comics were seen as career killers that paid terribly, so much so that every writer Shooter offered the job to turned it down. Fortunately, artist and editor Larry Hama was desperate to break into comics as a writer and worked to transform a rejected pitch starring Nick Fury's son as the leader of an elite strike team to fit Hasbro's plans. With the gig now his, Hama and Marvel visited Hasbro, where they were presented with 10 sketches of Joe's, blank pieces of clay to mold.
And I said, well, what are they going to do? Are they just going to march or something? You need antagonists to have a story. Archie Goodwin spoke up and he said, well, we've already got the guys at S.H.I.E.L.D. fights. They're called Hydra. Why don't we have something called Cobra? And everybody went, yeah.
As a Vietnam veteran, a practicing martial artist, and a Japanese American, Hama felt it was important to fold aspects of himself and his interests into the work. This became evident in the diversity of the cast, many of which were based on his real friends and family. Kung Fu and martial arts, specifically the idea of a ninja caste, became tentpole concepts, introducing a sense of mythology into the book that meshed well with the Joe's co-option of Marvel superheroics. But perhaps what separates G.I. Joe the most from other licensed comics was the respect with which Hama treated it. Shocking deaths and complex motivations shaped a comic that was often as imaginatively bonkers and dramatic as any mainstream comic of the era. But those stories are half of a battle that we'll have to come to know another day.